doesn't have to even be where you're from. It can be where you grew up. It can be where you live currently. But you see, where you live currently with your AC and your generator, you might be surprised, just 1 kilometer down the road, there's a shanty there where there are children who have never even been to school. We need to start making the change from our local community. So I'm not saying the youth on social media are not ready, or the youth I see around are not ready. They are ready, but they just need to channel their consciousness towards actually being the change that they want to see.
We are talking about youth engagement in our democratic process at 53, and it's completely missing because, for example, who is a youth in Nigeria? We don't even have a standard definition of a youth. When you have, for example, most of the major political parties putting youth leaders probably above the age of 45 or 40, I mean, you sit back and ask yourself, who is really a youth in Nigeria? When you go back to the UN or UNESCO definition of youth, it's somewhere between, let's say, 15 to 25. On the African Charter level, it's up to 35 because there is quite different in terms of development, between Western world and Africa. So they increase the age to probably, let's say, 35. But you look, I mean, most of the people holding positions in Nigeria, political office holders or public office holders, or even in private organizations, when they say this is someone that is representative of the youth, believe me, if you ask how old he is, you're going to see probably he may be 40, 35, or 35 is still under the African Charter. But most of them, I mean, are beyond the true definition of a youth, So, but we're supposed to there are so many issues, that is related to our own attitude as youth, and I think our generation is even doing worse than the previous generation that destroyed Nigeria as a whole, believe me.
Okay, you're raising.
For example, because, I mean, it is in this, our very generation, that we have kidnapping, we have terrorism, people cracking bomb in their chest, blowing. I mean, the previous generation didn't do that. But of course, it's maybe part of underdevelopment, that creates this socio-economic tension over time. But believe me, the things we are engaging nowadays, the youth of nowadays, I think are even worse than what the previous generation has been doing,
I believe the easiest way is to start from scratch. Go back to your local community and get involved.
Can I just jump in? Sorry.
Please go ahead.
I was going to say, I think one of the really interesting things for me, and I totally agree with Ife about the fact that, you have to go back to your local area. Whether you're physically in Nigeria or you're not in Nigeria and you want to make a change, I think actually it is something that actually people should do as a requirement. But I think one of the things that's been really interesting for me as I've kind of looked at opportunities for doing stuff in my parents came from, and I'm doing projects there now, is how much that is our history. So Nigerians, young Nigerians, if you actually want to be really honest with yourself, if you look at the way our tribes and our kind of cultures emerged, they emerge with people doing grassroots activities and those people then becoming leaders. That is the essence of chiefs in most kind of communities from the east to the west to the north. That's the way that they function. It is the people that turn up and have ideas and want to kind of vest their energy in making their areas better that kind of get promoted. So that is in our DNA, and it's not some kind of alien thing to us. And I think if, as young people, if we want to sort of change the nation, we need to remember that that's who we are as Nigerians and actually follow that path, because that is the path that our ancestors, if you want to be very kind of romantic about it, that is the path that they led, and that path works for the people of Nigeria.
The rest of that conversation is on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/channelsweb. It is time for another break. When we return, we'll look at some comments and contributions from Facebook and Twitter, then look at the 5 most viewed videos on our YouTube channel in the past week.
Tonto, and I have dinner with Genevieve. I'll probably die for everyone else. And this is.
So you dust off Tonto, you have dinner with Genevieve, and you die for Ivan Nelson.
Yeah.
Governor Rotimi Amechi has won these elections landslide by beating hands down Governor Jan in an election that has been considered not only nationally but internationally as very transparent, very credible, and an election that could stand the test of democratic fair.
For him since 1999.
Mr. President, there are facts, reports of maiming, hacking of limbs, raping women, and killing children. If you're not responsible, who is responsible?
Charles Taylor, as president of Liberia, wants to be held accountable for anything that I did to the Liberian people. And I would not hesitate a second to return to Liberia to answer any question in Liberia about torture, murder, anything in my country, because I did not do it.
This is the site where the Embraer 120 aircraft belonging to Associated Airlines went down in Lagos. Rescue operations are ongoing, but not without the surging crowd, as everyone wants to catch a glimpse of the ill-fated aircraft. Nearly all agencies are present here. As the coffin containing the body of the late former governor, Olusegun Agagu, emerges from the wreckage, personal belongings, including the burial program brochure, heightens emotions.
Personally, the process of transfer of leadership is gradual and systematic. If we are able to achieve the above, we will gradually take over the governance of the country, and incidences where those who have been in government long before many of us were born remaining in government will end. This is where we draw the curtains today, but don't forget, keep your comments coming in at Channels Beam using the hashtag Nigeria@53. Let's do this again next week. From me, Victor Matthias, and the rest of the Channels web team, it's goodbye and see you next week.
A time comes in the life of every race when people are driven by echoes of the past to chart a course for an exalted future. Africa is at this threshold, as major actors in the Africa arena plots a renaissance towards common destiny. Let's pedal across the streams of yesterday, from the backstreets of Africa to the defining roles of policymakers, the political realities of the African nation, balance of